when your primary focus is on tearing others, institutions, and other things down, rather than building up others, institutions, and ideas themselves, you yourself will be miserable. The way you view the societal paradigm, the way you treat others, and the way you perceive reality is a direct reflection on how you view yourself. The question I always ask people, if they are intellectually honest, is at the end of the day, when your head is on your pillow, can you go to sleep without any stimulation, music, TV, YouTube videos, nature sounds to distract your mind? Basically, the question I'm trying to get to is, can you go to sleep alone with your own thoughts? Because your thoughts build your ideas build your actions, and it is a domino effect. But that is why a lot of people on the left are miserable. Not only are they miserable, but they want you to feel miserable too. They feel guilty for enjoying hamburgers. They feel guilty for using power to power their homes. They feel guilty for enjoying their massive amounts of wealth. While the rest of us, and this is what they think, not the rest of us, but the rest of the world, is in poverty. Now, a few ironic things to consider. The first is that if you look at what differentiates third world countries from countries that have enough technology to be able to encompass billions of people, there are a few things that pop out. But these are all things that the left hates. The first is factory farming. After the Industrial Revolution, we developed machines, tractors, and those tractors have to be powered using gasoline, so fossil fuels and electricity. If you want a population not only to live but to thrive, they need food, clean water, and fossil fuels make that a real possibility without having to work excruciatingly long. And as a result, we live longer because we don't have to work as hard and we enjoy more wealth. But we can't do that, right? You see, we cannot improve those areas geographically. But on the other hand, we have to import all these people into our country that is sexist, racist, homophobic, and bigoted. Even though people fight on life rafts to get here, they risk getting separated, sex trafficked, and totally destroyed to come to a country that is run by white supremacists. And you can't get ahead in this country unless you're white. See how fucking retarded all this is when you really use your common sense to put things together? And on the one hand, the country is going to end in 12 years because of carbon dioxide. Even though it's 0.3% of the atmosphere, most of that carbon dioxide is water vapor, and a smaller percentage of that is even carbon itself. It's not like the sun, the solar rays of the sun, the surface of the ground, have to do a lot with the climate. No, it's something that is less than 3% of the entire atmosphere itself. But even though the world is going to end in 12 years according to their own bullshit, we need to let in a bunch of people into our country who are going to consume more resources, throw more plastic into the ocean, who are going to be using more fossil fuels, which are going to poison the planet, eat more cows, which is going to kill more livestock. And if you don't agree with letting them in, you're racist. You can't say, I want to improve their areas. See, I would all be for getting a team. See, the elites don't want this. They want to destroy. They want to bring down. But the way I would go about this is I would say, hey, here's what we're going to do. No more immigration into the United States, legal or illegal, to live. You can come here temporarily, you can come here on a study visa, but we don't want people coming from the third world to live off us. But what we will do in consolidation is we will get the greatest scientists, some of the corporations, we will use our tax dollars to pay them, and we will develop those countries' infrastructures. We'll give them electrical grid, access to the internet, clean water, clean food in Mexico to start with. And then those areas will be improved instead of those individuals having to come here and consume more of our resources. But the goal of the left is to be miserable. And because they're miserable, they want you to be miserable as well. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not conjecture. This is unequivocal facts. In their own words, I will get into greater detail and dissect further the means by which they do this. But to paraphrase, during World War II, Hitler kicked out all of the Jews. So a portion of them, and I'm not part of the Jewish conspiracy. I believe each individual makes decisions, and assholes and good people come in every race, color, sexuality, religion. But Hitler kicked out all the Jews, and a portion of them went into the United States. They established the Frankfurt School, which in turn created the terms cultural Marxism. And then you had Saul Alinsky, who got those ideas and that infrastructure that was already in place, and he used that to galvanize people into action. I'll get into that in greater detail again. But they admit that they don't want joy. They don't want family. They don't want people to be free. They don't want people to have fun. They want a joyless society. That's why people that subscribe to these ideas are joyless. People that are social justice warriors are joyless individuals, and they want you to feel the same way. That is why they do these tactics. Behind most of these people, the facade they create, the mask they choose to show you, they have anxiety, they have depression, they have all of these mental disorders because of their own fault. But they want to blame white people. They want to blame Donald Trump. They want to blame other people because they're not accountable to themselves. And if you're not accountable to yourselves, it doesn't matter whether you succeed or whether you fail. Understanding you are a powerful human that is capable of achieving great things beyond your wildest dreams, you're going to fail along the way, not because of racism, sexism, or bigotry, but because society is a collection of individuals. Individuals are not perfect, and sometimes you're not going to succeed. But you learn from those mistakes. See, the primary difference is you learn from those mistakes and you know there is an end game in mind. They just want to feel miserable and depressed. But part of that comes down to the natural bio of the species, their biogenes, their bionome, whatever you want to call it. Their natural intrinsic desires. Women back in the older days, and I'm not saying they should do this, everyone should have the right to do as they please. Unlike the social justice warriors, I believe everyone has a right to do what they want, even if it is not what I want to do. But the woman's primary goal was to raise children. The man's primary goal was to go out and hunt. And that is why even these social justice women, in most cases, want a man that is taller than them. That is a subconscious, intrinsic desire because they look up to the man for protection and in stature as well. But they go against their own natural desires. It's kind of like if you have a beagle. I used to have a beagle, great dog, but the environment was all wrong. We kept this beagle behind a fence. Anytime we would leave the door open, he would run outside, run into the woods, and go look for animals. Because a natural desire of a dog is to not be on a chain. It is to be around people. If it is a hunting dog, to be out in the woods. You can take away the infrastructure, but you can never take away the natural desire of the species to act a certain way. So these women, even though they naturally want to be nurturing, They want to be emotional. They want to be caring. They want to be protected. They want to be loved by these men. They go against their own desires. And that empty void that they fill, they find other ways to fill that void. And that is why they have anxiety and depression, because they are not doing what their natural goal is. Instead of wanting to build a business, build a family, build a church, build a community, be a productive member of society, they want to tear others down. And it was kind of funny. There's this individual I know, and I don't want anything to do with her anymore because she has been completely ruined by cultural Marxism. We used to tell jokes, we used to have fun, we used to have some great conversations. But ever since she's went to college, she's become this complete fucking moron. We don't really communicate anymore. But on her Facebook page, she has stuff that says, I hate white men are the devil. Now what's interesting is, okay, her country sucks. Where she's from, and I'm not saying that to insult her, I'm saying it because it's an unequivocal fact. Haiti got hit by natural disaster. Instead of building schools, instead of rebuilding the infrastructure, the Clintons funneled that money to their foundation, and now it's terrible. And these evil white people let her live here. And these evil white people pay for her school. What a self-entitled piece of shit, right? Over 70% of this country is white. Most people that pay taxes are white. Not because they're better, but because the majority of this country is white. Because we were founded when people came from Europe. But these people are paying for her school. It's like, I'm an independent woman. I'm an independent individual. Fuck white people. And I'm going to make them pay for my education to tell me further how bad white people really are. And white men are the worst. You see, what sucks about that is people like me have to pay for their school just to make them hate us more. They're not paying for me. I don't take any money from the government. I pay my own bills. I pay corporate tax. I pay capital gains when I have to. And all of that goes to people that hate us, which is counterproductive. They are literally biting the hand that feeds us. But in the end, they do not get any joy or satisfaction. They do not get any pleasure out of this. And it's terrible because it's ruining individuals, but the way I look at it is we're in the information age. If you have internet access, an open mind, you have a public library nearby, you can read all of this and come to your own conclusion. You can read about the school. You can read about Hegel. You can read about Marx. You can read in their own words where they admit all of this. See, I never was one to study in school. I didn't give a shit about studying. I barely passed. I did enough just to get out of there because I didn't want to go to summer school and get my ass beat by my dad or get bitched at. I just read things to see what the truth was. When your end game is truth, you don't care what individual states it, what political position supports it. You simply look at the facts, you come to your own conclusion, and that's the way you go about it. What's crazy, though, is that these people that subscribe to this strategy are miserable people. And then when you're not miserable, it makes them angry. I remember she called me a few days ago. Not a few days ago, it's been like weeks ago, and she was talking about how she has anxiety and depression. And she asked me if I did. I said, no. And she said, why? I said, I've just been forced to talk to people all my life. I went to public school. I go around my town. What's crazy is she lives in a big city. She lives in New York City, and she's afraid to talk to people. 8 million people. I live in a town of 29,000 people, and I don't care to talk to any of them. You know, how you doing? It's because the way you view yourself is a reflection on how you view everyone else. I view myself as a normal, average individual, capable of making decisions given the facts, and when left to my own devices, can do what's best for me. Everyone else is the same way. So when I see people, I view them not as evil, racist white people, not as minorities that I'm scared of, not as women, but as individuals who can provide something useful for society. The bridges that are built in my town, the food that is stocked on the shelves, the livestock that is made comes from the people. It doesn't come from governments. And when you're eating your meal, When you're enjoying a piece of music, when you're watching a movie, you don't think, oh, I love this African American, Asian, non-binary person. You just enjoy it because it is not in our nature to do that. And again, I'm going with my nature. I am not going against my nature. I'm building, I'm reading, I'm educating myself, I'm lifting weights. I'm becoming what a natural man is supposed to be. And so I was telling her how much fun I was having here, how much I was building. And see, she doesn't want to build anything. And in the end, it's going to fuck her, and I care less. Because I have given her all this information and more. Yet she refuses to look into this. So in my opinion, she'll be lucky when she's older, when she has student loan debt. She'll blame the evil, racist white people that paid for her school for not bailing her out. She won't have a husband because she has anxiety. She'll end up with a dildo and with wine in order to make it all better. While I might be on Forbes, while I might have a family, whatever I do, it's going to be better than her. We all know that. But yeah, those evil, racist white people that let her live here, that give her the freedom of speech, that pay for her education, they're all bad. And she's independent just so she can learn about how terrible they are.